Girl, you the man, and she love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretending. Nothing is real. She gon' tell you what she.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the E-Spot. I'm your host, Camille Cower, and I cannot wait for you guys to meet my guest today. He is a Grammy Award-winning engineer, drummer, producer, tour extraordinaire. He's pretty much done it on. He's worked with everyone. I posted today just a little bit of his resume, just the ones I was like, I couldn't stop typing. So without further ado, drum roll, please. Just kidding. Ivan Hampden Jr.
Hello. Hey, Camille.
Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am a big fan and didn't even know how big of a fan I was until I looked at your resume and was just amazed. And I got to make sure everybody sees your whole drum set right there behind you as well.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for being my guest. I'm so
excited. My pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, how did you get started? Let's start from the very beginning. Did you go to I saw that you went to Rutgers. Is that where you started with music?
Oh, no, way before that. So I started as a teenager. You know, I was actually a working drummer through high school, playing with organ trios and in New York clubs. And, you know, I had a neighborhood band. So by the time I was 13, 14, you know, we would running around playing music around the neighborhood. But I started working in clubs and stuff. So a quick story, I had to be about 14, 13, and I used to practice on the third floor in my building in Harlem, and there's a bar around the corner. The drummer didn't show up. The guys in the band, they knew I was there, and somebody came and said, "Hey, who's the kid upstairs? Get him down here." And my mom let me go, and I pushed my drums around the corner, and that was my first paying job. You know, as a kid, and these old timers were yelling, "No, hit the drum!" And you know, I mean, that was school for me. It was great, but it just was amazing. I would have did it for free. They said, "Hey, here's some money." I said, "I get paid too." Oh my
God! Like sold. This is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So yeah, all through high school, I was a working musician. And I found there was a place called the Jazzmobile in Harlem. And what it was, the city had put money up, and you had all these heavy jazz musicians that would teach, you know, inner city kids for, you know, it was subsidized. So, you know, it was very small fee. And it was where I began to, you know, actually learn a little bit more about what I was doing. You know, so I learning how to read music and understanding certain concepts and things. Great teacher, Charlie Percep, who is runs the drum department, the music department at the New School in New York.
Okay.
And so he kind of kicked it off for me, and I went on from there to Bronx Community College after I graduated from high school. And between there and Rutgers, I ended up at the Dance Theater of Harlem, of all places. So, you know, it's just been this interesting journey. And as I got into Rutgers, all the Eartha Kitt stuff and Curtis Blow and all these other
things. You can't just say her name and go like, I mean, both of those names, because all of a sudden I'm thinking I'm playing basketball without a basketball.
Right.
That was one of my favorite songs. But wait, so Eartha Kitt, please tell us more, because I'm thinking of her as Boomerang, but also she was like the first, I think, as far as I know, person of color that was a superhero as Catwoman.
Catwoman, absolutely. Yeah. She was amazing. So yeah, she was the triple threat of the day back then. You know, dance, actress, singing. And you know, there's a whole story about her with Lyndon Lady Bird Johnson, and she spoke out against Vietnam, and she was blacklisted. So all of a sudden she was gone. She left to Europe. When she came back and did a play called Timbuktu, and it put it back on the map in the States. And soon after that is when I crossed paths and was hired, to play and perform with her. She was like that aunt, she was just a doll. She's just a sweetheart, just a wonderful, wonderful woman. Yeah.
Since a lot of the people that might be watching are in the film side, is there anything that you noticed from her about her work habits, or just her stage presence? Because there's nothing like Eartha Kitt you could share so people could.
She was a star. She walked in the room and you went, who's this?
Okay, so
you
she
just felt her aura. You just felt her whole presence, and she commanded that. On stage, she was amazing. I mean, it was, to see her
work habits like. Was she very particular about everything and very hands-on as far as that part as well?
She knew what she wanted, and she had a great musical director, Tom Spahn, and she trusted him, to get what she needed. And she would get up and do all these old torch songs, and all this theater stuff, and she was great. And musically, it was great because I was playing music that I hadn't really played before, so it was very theatery, and all centered around the theater mostly, and of course Santa Baby and all of that stuff. We did all of that stuff. It was amazing. Yeah.
That's so cool. Now, so how did you go from Eartha Kitt to completely different kind of music of Curtis Blow? How did that come about?
So Curtis Blow, we grew up in the same neighborhood. I used to hang out with his older brother. And when I was in the neighborhood band, Curtis would hang out. He was the kid we'd send to the store. Hey man, go get me a bag of chips and a Pepsi. Bring back my change.
That's hilarious.
I went away.
Yeah.
And actually, he happened before Eartha. I went away for a summer to stay with cousins in Virginia. Okay. I came back, and he was on the radio. I was like, what happened? So once he began to perform, he came and got the band, the neighborhood band. Hey, guys, I need a band.
Live music with rap music. I love it.
Yeah. But that's what it was back then, the music was live, you had real musicians on it, Sugar Hill, all of that's real players.
Oh, that's right. Chip Sharon, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I had him on a couple of months ago. I feel like now I'm friends with his wife.
Yeah, no, really well. Absolutely.
I saw on your thing too. It was like Sinbad. I'm like, of course they probably know each other.
Oh yeah, he's a big brother, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So the Curtis story was great, and we did a couple dates opening for Rick James, and that was the first tour New Edition was on. So it was Curtis Blow, New Edition, the Mary Jane Girls, and Rick James. We only did a few dates. We hopped around and did a couple things around the country and came back. But it was eye-opening. It was my first major tour. I was young, and 22 maybe.
Yeah.
So
how much? Because I'm sure you've seen the Dave Chappelle skit about Rick James.
Oh yes.
What was it like working with him? Because
it was from a distance. You had all these moving parts, all these artists, and he was interesting to say.
I can't say interesting because that could be interpreted in many different ways.
He had his entourage around, and there was a story. There was a thing with him carrying this a shoebox. What the heck's in the shoebox? Yeah. Well, it was his self-medicating material.
It's one heck of a drug.
Yes. So, he was an interesting character, and he kind of, kept to his own people and his own. Yeah. So we didn't get much interaction with them.
It's funny. I used to work at a spa, and one of his background singers came in, and she was just. I wanted to ask her a million questions, but I was like, she's here to relax and so on. But so you bringing it up, I was like, oh, finally, I can ask.
Yeah.
I work with him, and just even so when I was a kid, music back then, it was kind of hidden what the terms meant. Like you wouldn't necessarily understand that maybe this was in sexual nature or drug nature. And so part of my cotillion, I picked one of Mary Jane Girl's song as for the talent show.
Uh-huh.
Needless to say, they pulled the sound. I didn't know. I mean, I did. This happened to me more than once because I also did a climax song, meeting in a ladies' room.
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah. I got in trouble for that one too.
Yeah.
I had no idea because my parents loved Rick James, Stevie Wonder, who you also worked with. Like everyone you worked with, pretty much my parents. I grew up listening to because
nice.
I have a huge admiration for your work, and didn't even so that. This means a lot to me. Just want to say that
I'm honored.
I'm so impressed because just to be able to play on that level. I know off camera you were saying, "Well, I'm old, so I've worked with them." Still, people you could be 100 and never worked with the names you've worked with, and it's consistent. There's Stevie Wonder, Donnie McClurkin, Gladys Knight, Little Richard, Yolanda Adams, and Dionne Warwick. So did you ever try to predict your future anytime when you were working with her? Remember that phone thing back in the day?
I knew I loved music. I knew I wanted to play music. And I had some really great mentors around that really told me, look, if you really want to do this, you got to work. You got to do certain things. So I just focused on trying to do something to make myself better every day, and move the direction I wanted to move into, the networking and just moving around and meeting people and being able to be heard. So I didn't predict, I just went after what I felt right. What
was practicing like for you? Do you since you said you work on getting better every day, what's your practice schedule like? Well,
as a young musician, I practiced, 3-4 hours, 5 hours. Like I said, the musicians when I was a kid, they would hear me upstairs, and that was my mother's weapon too. If I screwed up, it's like, don't you dare even look at those drums. Yeah.
The drumsticks were gone.
That was it.
Yeah. I really need to get my daughter to want to play drums again. That's a good one.
Hey, I'm doing virtual lessons.
I have to get the kit too because we have the electrical drum kit, but I'm sure that's not a good start.
That works fine.
Really?
You can get the fundamentals. There's nothing like an acoustic set or any acoustic instrument. Just wood and shells and metal. You're going to build physically on that. But you can build technique and some skills on an electronic drum set.
Okay.
It's definitely a different animal.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit like cheating, I would say, because there's so many options there. Like, I could just tune this down as opposed to learning how to change the rhythm of it or something yourself. Now, since you do have lessons and so on, what are some of the tips you give for some of your students just getting started in the industry, or even picking up the instrument? Where do you suggest they start with that?
Well, I've been teaching a while, and different people learn differently. People learn differently. Some people are visual, some people, and then you'd be surprised, some of these young folks are just born with, just oozing with gifts and talent. Yeah. So I definitely don't do a one size fits all kind of a thing. I kind of gravitate to find out where each person is. Some people are a little bit more challenged, but really want to do this and try. So I work with each person on the things that may be giving them the hardest time. Some people just, suck it up like a sponge. It's just, and I have some of those students, and then, I have some folks that just, want to do it. I work with autism students. I work with a lot of different, wide range of students.
Yeah.
So, as far as maybe a younger student looking to be in the industry,
Yes.
I kind of pass on the things that I was taught. Look, make sure your skills are straight. It's a job, it's work. Show up on time, show up prepared. Have your tools in order. Have your skills in order. Be able to read the music, be able to count the music, be versatile. A lot of times musicians say, "Hey, I'm a rock drummer," or just say, "No, just be a musician." Then you can play anything.
Yeah,
And
you were with Bonnie Raitt even.
Yeah,
really awesome.
it's vocabulary. Music. To be able to play country and jazz and reggae and funk, Latin, rock and roll. It's all music. There's a thread through all of it, and if you probably find there's one that appeals to you more than another, but you still want to be flexible, and that makes you a lot more marketable as a musician trying to be in the industry.
And speaking of marketable, you have many talents. It's not just drumming. You also are an engineer and a producer and a songwriter. So I know drumming came first, but how did you learn the other skills?
And actually, my first instrument is a piano as a kid.
Okay.
My parents, from 6 to 8, made me play piano. I liked the instrument at the time. I did not enjoy the instructor. I think she was not a very happy person at doing what she was doing.
Make a difference, teachers.
Yeah, so it kind of turned me off, and that took me into asking my father, "Look, can I found a church, they teach drums. Can I?" And he allowed it to happen. So as I as I was progressing as a musician, the piano, the guitar, I was getting the neighborhood band. The guitar players would, "Hey, show me this chord." I was always interested. I always wanted to learn. Show me, let me play the bass. Show me the bass line. And so I kept doing those things. And I eventually got myself back to the piano. And, the technology, the computers in the early 80s, that was fascinating to me. So I got into that, and so it put me right there as technology was heading toward the music industry. So those things crossed. And, so it all kind of evolved all together, just snowballing and rolling around in New York. A little bit after the Eartha Kitt stuff, the 80s, 80 to 83 or 4, I got involved in a band, and the guy that ran the band worked in a recording studio. So we would practice in the studio, and I convinced him to teach me audio. I said, "Hey, man, I want to know how to do this."
Yeah.
And it was a major studio. They did jingles and records and stuff. So he was like a maintenance and technical guy in this studio. And the studio would close at 5 o'clock. They worked from 9 to 5. They'd close. And we would go in there and rehearse. And I'd get him to set me up in a room. He taught me how to solder and audio and, different things, working with the tape machines and splicing the tape. And so, just, I guess, out of my curiosity and just wanting to understand certain things.
I just
I
realized
learned a little bit here.
tape too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was in the studio before any waveforms or yeah. It was musicians, tape, a arrangers, you know, producers, yeah. You know, a clap track, you got 6 people around a mic and you're clapped. Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
That's
You know.
and I know how to do it. Oh wow.
You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I just kind of evolved with the technology, and you know, I was by, I want to say 88, 89, I had started purchasing Mac computers. I had an Apple IIe.
That was
And
my first computer. Was an
yeah,
Apple IIe. Yeah.
they actually had music software that they
I was
were
always playing video
introducing back then. You know, so
Yeah.
I started. It was tedious, it was tough, but I learned a lot. You know, just fooling around and experimenting. I was able to create, and yeah.
So that's interesting just to see the progression of how technology has changed so much. Do you feel that that it's been a good thing with some of those transitions, or some of it you're like, you still need to know, still wish some things were done, I guess, more organically, or is it?
I love the technology. I think when technology in for music meets skilled musicians, is magical. You know, Herbie Hancock, Stevie Wonder, they're all into the technology, but you listen to, you listen to what they do with it. Yeah, you know, the technology has allowed access to a lot of people.
Right.
When you have really talented and skilled people running the technology, I think the quality of the end result, the products are outstanding. You know, they just are so much better.
Well, we have a great question that I was going to ask kind of anyway when you brought up about hearing Curtis Blow on the radio after you came back from Virginia. Scott Ferguson actually writes, Ivan, what's up, big brother? What was the first song you played on that you heard on the radio, and how did you react?
Wow.
Or the one you most remember?
It's one of 2 songs. So it was probably Curtis Blow produced a record on an artist called Sweet G. It was called Games People Play. Games People Play.
Yeah.
Almost crashed the car. I was, on the radio!
That's me. How did your parents react when you told them about it?
They loved it. They were excited that I was having some success a little bit. You know, it was the beginning. The second song was Jocelyn Brown, Somebody Else's Guy. So I'm actually playing percussion on that, and that was almost another car wreck. You know, so yeah, those were probably the 2 first things that I've actually heard myself over the radio. And wow, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
What a surreal experience. Now, you've worked with so many different singers, and they're icons, a lot of them. And like, you started with Eartha Kitt, and then soon after that, Jeffrey Osborne, Jennifer Holliday, Doc Powell, Roberta Flack, Will Downing. Was there ever a time where you just were like, pinch me, this is my life? Like,
it felt normal, you know. So for instance, Will Downing, we did wedding bands before Will became a star.
Okay.
Regina Bell sang in the band too, you know, and yeah, we did weddings around New York and did sessions, and you know, so it was just a local musicians out there, you know, and we were all young and going after what we were going for, and this one pops up here, that one gets signed to a record deal, this one, you know, whoa, you know, and Will, you know, he called me up and took me to Europe with him.
What was that like, your first tour in Europe? How did that?
It was great. It was great. And actually, my first European was Ashford Simpson. Right.
Solid as a rock.
Yep. That was they took me to Europe first, and then I went soon after again with Will. Yeah.
When did this songwriting start? Was it?
I kind of dabbled in it, with the neighborhood band. We fooled around and tried to come up with ideas. Just learning how to do it. Learning the process.
I think of Ashley Simpson and Sam. I'm looking at too many names to think of. Ashford and Simpson. They're known for being really good songwriters too. So I didn't know if maybe by chance, just being around such greats, you picked up from them as well.
I learned a lot from being there.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from being there with them. And actually got to play on a couple of tunes that they recorded, and actually got to write 2 songs with Nick Ashford that Valerie sang. We never really released it. It's been out there. People have heard a little bit,
Okay.
but that was exciting. But I had started writing seriously with a partner, and we were moving material around, and a good friend of mine, Danny Madden, approached and said, "Hey man, Mavis Staples is looking for material." And he came, he knew we had stuff, and they grabbed this song called Why from us. And she recorded it. I co-produced it with Danny. She was signed to Prince. She was on Paisley Park actually at the time.
Yeah.
And that spawned a publishing deal with Polygram. And right then, I really said, okay, I gotta boost this up. And I went back and found a piano teacher again, just to get my writing skills together. I just felt at a plateau, and I felt stuck. Everything sounds the same. I was frustrated, and that helped me so much. I went to found the guy that was teaching all the seniors at Manhattan School of Music.
Okay.
He was a good friend of one of the piano players in Luther's band, Skip Anderson. And Skip said, "Hey man, go see Gary, man." And Gary was amazing. He really did some good work. Helped me build my skill on the instrument, and just insight, and I started writing differently. I started changing what I was doing, and so that was good. So writing is an art. It's an art. It's a skill. Just as a script.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Script writing, book writing. There's an art. There's a way to do. There's different forms and formulas, and so once you're exposed to those things, it helps you get to where you want to go faster. You get to start and finish, and move on to the next. Yeah.
So what's your process like with writing? Do you do the music first, then the lyrics, or the lyrics, then the music, or?
I've done various ways. Probably my most common way is to build a track. I'm a drummer. I'm gonna build a nice groove and look for that good bass line and some couple of nice changes. And after that, I want to give it to somebody. I want to get, because I do all this stuff. Singing was not the good one for me.
Relate.
But I have friends with the most amazing singers on the planet. So I reach out to friends. Hey, once I have a melody to work from, I can go back and dress up the music, enhance, based on the story and the melody. So but I've also written. I've had someone say, "Hey, I have these lyrics and this melody," and they send me that, and I build from that side. So just being flexible, being able to.
That's good information for anyone that's thinking of doing those things, hearing different ways that it can be approached, or even with you mentioning earlier where you kind of felt like you plateaued, so you took lessons to find another way to kind of get inspired and look at things another way. But since you brought him up, we got to talk about Mr. Luther Vandross.
Oh, Lou.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
How did did you meet him through your piano teacher or a different way? And that's how.
Oh no. So the first time I actually met Luther, I was with Ashford and Simpson. He came to a show in Los Angeles, and he was in the green room, and I met him briefly. The next time I would meet Luther would be 5 minutes before me going on stage with him. So in 1987, interesting enough, the drummer that was there before me, I replaced in Ashford and Simpson's band. The great Yogi Horton. He was an amazing guy. We were becoming friends. He passed away. So he left Ashford and Simpson. He was doing both. He left and just stayed with Luther. I ended up doing Ashford and Simpson. Well, he dies during the tour, actually. And that's a whole story. It was really sad. And a couple of weeks went by and my phone rings. Matt Adderley Jr. calls me up. He says, "Man, I've been trying not to call you. I've stolen so many musicians from Nick and Val. They're going to kill me." He said, "Well, come get the music." And I went to his house, and the next day I did a rehearsal. The next day after that, I jumped on a plane and played at the Rose Bowl, 90,000 people, my first gig. And Luther comes out 5 minutes before the show, and "Hey, Lou, this is the new drummer. Hey, how you doing?" Okay. And I get on the stage, and I played the show, and we get to the end. I'll never forget the last song was "House Is Not a Home," and Luther turned around and looked at me and went, so he was pleased, he was happy, and 1987, that was the start of that. Yeah.
I'm so impressed. Like, wait, you got the music for, and then a week later you already knew it well enough to play at a concert?
Days later. Days. No, I picked up the music the night Nat called me. The next day I showed up in the rehearsal studio, did a rehearsal. The following day I got on a plane, went to LA, and performed that night. So that's the skills I'm talking about, having your skills together, being able to, read through some music and play it like you've been playing it for, all year,
Because how long was the set list for something?
Ooh.
It was like,
I remember it was, if I'm right, it was like a Budweiser Superfest kind of a thing.
okay.
So maybe a 45-minute show, so
A lot of songs.
Yeah, it's a blur. Because
I can imagine, but I was just like
I was so like this. And I remember being on the plane with earphones and the music and just, mentally going through it and, trying to do the best job I could do. So the rest was history with Luther after that one show. Yeah.
You were with him. Now, so he was amazing singer, amazing vocalist, and just, he has a great talent and wonderful stage presence. And there hasn't been, I don't think there's anyone that's even come remotely close to his.
Not at all. They won't be. People try.
Yeah.
And even, his songwriting, his production, he's an amazing producer, amazing songwriter. He was impressive. He was meticulous, and Luther took no shorts. You didn't show up half in anything with him, because he'd show you the door quick.
Oh wow!
So he kept the bar high. He kept and he was really loyal. And nowadays you see artists go out with a band, and the next tour the whole band's different. I was there almost 20 years with him, and lived with my brothers and sisters on the stage. We knew each other. Our kids grew up together. Luther would take our kids out to the movies. Y'all keep rehearsing. He grab your kids and throw them in the car, and he go to the movies with the kids. And you're like, what, dude?
He's like,
keep working.
yeah, y'all need to get better. I'm gonna go have fun.
Yeah, and he spoiled them rotten, you know. They come to they come to the show, and they all knew, you know, you go make sure he knew you got all A's. He's popping out $100 bills, you know. So he's handing my kid this $100 bill. I'm like, give me that. I'll stick this in the bank. You ain't walking around here, you know, 7, 8 years old with $100 bill. No,
like,
we gonna put this in the bank.
Well with others.
Yeah.
7, yeah.
Oh yeah, they go hang out with him, and you know, Luther always had a Pac-Man machine, old school Pac-Man machine in his dressing room. He moved with for years, so the kids was straight to his room, you know. Yeah, and he loved the kids. He just loved them. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say he had a way of, and that's why I'm saying he's so different than any other artist in the sense that no matter how old, no matter what race, gender, everybody loved him.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm not 100% sure because
the
first concert my grandmother went to was Luther Vandross. Well, big concert was Luther Vandross, and it's funny, because you know how
the man he gave you your money's worth. He believed in putting on a perfect, you know. He was amazing. Like I said, he understood, you know, he had his hand in the costumes, the choreography, the lighting, his stage, the music. He knew so much about every detail and piece of his show and what he wanted, how he wanted it. In the recording studio, he was amazing. I learned so many things, you know, things you don't learn in a classroom. You know, going to learning in the music department at some college, you don't get those skills. You don't get those lessons, you know. And just to sit there and watch, and then to eventually participate, you know, to write with him, and you know, Luther would have us in the studio 6 days a week, you know, for a couple of months, and you showed up. They did, you know. Sometimes he would call me up, and he'd be in the studio, and you know, they would get stuck on a drum part or something, and he'd call me up, wake me up. Hey, Ivan, it's Luther. I said, hey, get your lazy butt up. Get up here. I need you. I need you in the studio. And I'd show up, and then I was there for the rest of the month, you know. So hopping around, you know, doing odds and ends, programming this, fixing that, you know, whatever he, you know. No, he was amazing, just outstanding. And just vocally, I mean, you know, he's done interviews, and I love what he says. He says, you know, I see all these singers, and they got all this acrobatics, and they're doing all this. He says, I'm not afraid of my voice. He would sing you a note, and you melt. It's just, you know, his tone. I mean, the music that he, you know, that came out of his voice. He was a musician, you know. He was a serious musician. Yeah.
Now, you guys did Dances with My Father together. How did
I'm on that. I'm on the record. I didn't perform that. I have a song on that record. The last somebody pointed that out to me. His last record, I have the last song. I'm the last song. It's called "They Said You Needed Me," and it's on Dance with My Father. And I'm also performing on the duet with him and Beyonce, "The Closer I Get to You," which was funny because I had been working with Roberta at the same time. So I'm doing a whole nother version I'm doing her version with her live, and we go in the studio and cut this other version. It was intense. It was great. It was great.
You could be like, hey, by the way, Beyonce's doing it like this.
Oh, Roberta Flack loved when people copied her stuff, you know. Lauryn Hill did her song, and I think D'Angelo did one of her songs. She loved that. She always loved that, you know, just to hear the younger version, a new perspective on her hits. You know, she has
Got a lot of hits.
A lot of hits. Roberta's another one. That voice, it just, and the musicianship. You know, she played the heck out of piano. So she would play the piano on stage with us. You know, but I don't know if you know, she spawned Luther's career. You know, he sang background with. Oh, you don't know the story?
No.
He sang background with Roberta for years, and she pulled him to the side. She says, "Vandross, you got to go, because if I don't kick you out, you're gonna sit here and sing background and never do anything for yourself." She fired him and told him to go make a record, and never too much. She kicked him out. Yeah.
Hey,
Great story.
I'm for her to do that though, like to notice that talent, not just keep it for herself, to have that sound behind her. I have even more respect for her for doing that.
Oh yeah. Oh no. She you know, she's the school teacher. You know, she's got that school teacher. She's teaching and history. You know, she talks about her and Donny Hathaway. You know, she would do that in rehearsals and talk about stuff that they interacted in, and you know, she always talked about that. She loved that man. I don't blame her. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to bring up my favorite I love a lot of people on your list. Stevie Wonder, of course, because we sing him every birthday. That's our birthday version, you know. But I have to get back. Sorry, Bessie. It's all about Diana Ross for me. Worked with her. What was my experience like? Because she's, so like when I was a kid, they would send us her concerts, and there's so much. I mean, she just did so much, and all the glamour, and even I went to her. I've gone to 2 of her concerts, and she would do all these changes, but it was just so quick, and the music was just so amazing, and
the Queen of Motown. I mean, come on.
They really trained their artists then to be.
Oh man, yes, yes.
So what was it like working with her? Because you finally have somebody that can ask all the questions.
She was amazing. So you know, just like yourself, you know, I grew up listening to
the Supremes and
all of that. You know, the Temptations. And my phone rings and says, "Hey, are you available for a Diana Ross session?" Yes.
Yeah. No
and so I want to say this is 86, 87-ish. And I was kind of in between Ashford Simpson and Luther, and it was a little slow for me right then. And all of a sudden, the phone rings. I go to the studio, and there she is. And she was actually pregnant during this recording. And she was the most loving, happy, pregnant woman. And, you know, hugs and kisses on the way. And I'm hugging Diana Ross. Good that, you know. She was great. And we cut the stuff in probably 2 days in the studio or so. She was wonderful. She was wonderful. And later on, years into Luther, you know, seeing him and her were so tight. We were in Europe, and we cut something for her that Luther produced. I can't even remember the name of the song right now, but
I'll have to look that up. I didn't realize he produced a song for Diana Ross.
Oh yeah. You know, he produced her. He had produced Aretha. Jump to it.
Okay.
That's Luther and Marcus Miller. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did a lot of other stuff. Gregory Hines. You know, There's Nothing Better Than Love. They did a duet, and he produced that. He produced a couple things on that record, as far as I know.
I forget that Gregory Hines. I always think of him as the actor in tap dancing, but I forgot he sang as well.
Oh yeah, and Gregory was a friend of mine too. He was great. So
yeah,
you know, in the 80s in New York, like I said, I got involved with the Dance Theater of Harlem.
Right.
So it put me into a connection with these dancers who always needed drummers. You know, so I got my hand drumming skills together, hanging out with the drummers that did that. And I was able to still play drum set with Dance Theater had a choir. So I played drum set and I would play tap class on with brushes and a snare. But we used to go downtown and work at this place called the Broadway Dance Center.
Okay.
And it was Maurice Hines and Gregory Hines. It was their place. I'm 20 years old. They were paying $20 an hour. I'm like, heck yeah, to play some drums and look at these gorgeous dancers stretching and bending.
Well, so we're Facebook friends, and now I see the connection. Did you work with Suzanne Douglas there? Or was it just through Gregory Hines? Because they did that film together. But she was tap dancing with him.
I may have crossed her, and you know, but you know, Gregory and Maurice, I got to know really well. You know, because Maurice would pay us. Gregory used to crash the class. He'd kick the door open and crawl through the floor, through people's legs, and hop around and then take off. You know, but I got to know him a lot. Because he hung around Luther. He would come to the shows, and he actually Gregory hired me when he was doing, before he became a film star, he was doing theater in New York, you know, and I did some performances with him back then. So, you know, that New York entertainment community just overlapped, you know, the dancers, the singers, the actors and actresses, and, you know, oh God, what's her name? I used to work with her all the time. I was in her band. She did Waiting to Exhale.
Whitney Houston?
Well, I knew Whitney as a kid from when she was a kid, but no.
Angela Bassett?
Nope.
I'm trying to think who's been Waiting to Exhale. I know my dad produced it. That's all I can think of right now.
Yeah. I'll think of her name in a minute. You'll know as soon as I say it. You go, oh. She's done tons of stuff. She's still out there doing stuff.
I'm Googling it right now, Waiting to Exhale.
Oh God, I can't believe I can't think of her name.
Why? Oh, well, Leela Rashawn, Loretta Devine.
Loretta. Loretta could sing her butt off. Really? So I was in her band. We used to do clubs in New York.
Okay.
You know, so that, you know, the theater people, like I said, it just overlapped, you know. And I would get calls. I would get hired, you know, because I can read the music. I can learn it quickly. And you know, I showed up on time. I showed up prepared.
Yeah.
So I was, you know, my name started moving around. It, you know, it was good. Yeah.
What an experience. So when you think back of your career, is there any one moment that sticks out the most to you that you could share with us? I mean, I know sometimes they have NDAs out there, so I don't want to get you in trouble. Out there, if that's the case.
That's a tough one. I mean, there's been so many exciting moments. Goodness, you know.
Well, I do have some requests in the comments. I mean,
okay.
To play it, to relive it. Can you just play a simple note, the drums behind us? Because you're always prepared, you said.
Somebody wants me to play?
Sorry, it's my mom. I have to ask.
You want me to play something?
What? Why not? They're right there.
Mom, I'll play something.
You kind of, if no pressure, but at the same time, why would I not say yes or not get a chance?
A little something.
You don't need to see me.
I didn't expect this.
Oh, wow.
Enough?
Look, see, I could really be a clap musician.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
want to get in trouble with Facebook either, because sometimes they'll mute me out if it's something too famous. Wow. So, but again, was there any performances or something where you're just like, this was the coolest performance I've ever done? Just maybe with the different people that you got to perform with at one time, because I know you've worked with Michael Jackson even, and so many other.
And and I didn't directly work with him. We were on a show, and he took us out. He actually had us stand on stage while he performed. That was intense. That man was the truth, boy. Woo! Unbelievable to stand there.
Go in a little more detail. Most of us have never worked with Michael Jackson and won't ever get to now.
So
I mean, I realized you were working with a different band, but
it was actually Luther. So Michael did a thing, I want to say it was 99, and he did a show for the kids of Kosovo. So there's all these refugees, and there was, some stuff. So we did 2 shows. We flew to Seoul, Korea, and we did a show there. And then we flew to Munich, to Germany, and did the same show again. So when we got to Korea, of course, most of the musicians at that level, we all know each other or know somebody that knows somebody. So you feel like you know everybody. Mm-hmm. And I knew quite a bit of the guys in Michael's band, and we hanging out and talking. So that night when he performed, Michael says, "Man, you guys come on and get on the stage," and he had us stand in the wings. Mm-hmm. And he, oh my God, I'm just watching him from television or anywhere, to stand on the stage about 8 feet from this man, mm-hmm. while he's spinning, and he's got his hands back, and there's torches, these flames look like they were about 6 feet blowing out at his face. And he does the whole, oh my God, the man, and sang his butt off, danced his butt off, and talk about a show. Yeah. So miraculous. He was outrageous. Yeah, he was outrageous. I'm thinking about a Grammy show we did with Luther, and he had the Songs album out, and he covered Love the One You With, Cosby, Stills, and Nash. They came out on stage with us. Mm-hmm. Booker T played organ. That was a special. I really dug that. Yeah. Stephen Stills was amazing. I got to chat with him after the show. There's moments like that. I've probably done about 5 or 6 Grammy shows over the years. Goodness. As far as performances, I love doing the orchestra stuff with him. I've done orchestra stuff with Roberta. I love driving, playing drums. I call it driving the train, driving a 50-piece orchestra. Right. It's intense with a band, a rhythm section. I've done that for, like I said, Roberta. Vanessa Williams, I've done it for her.
That's who I named my daughter after, is Vanessa Williams.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, both Vanessa Williams, because
yes, and I know the other Vanessa too.
Oh, well, of course you do. Of course. Both of my parents worked on New Jack City, and there's a lyric in there, "Rockabye Baby," and so I was like, Vanessa, and I thought I was watching a lot of Desperate Housewives while I was. Oh, that was a pretty name, because we could not agree on names or nothing. So I named my daughter after both of them, because I felt like it was a good way to pay homage to both of my parents, with Vanessa, with that act. Because funny story, you remember the black van in New Jack City that they did the shootout? I don't know if you even saw New Jack City.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Well, my mom kept that van because she was the stunt woman.
Wow.
So she used to take me back and forth to school with this big black van that had gunshots in it. Yeah. So I was just like, that's a good way to play homage to both of them. And I love Vanessa Williams, the fact that she, they stripped her of that title and she became even greater. Like, I don't think there's a more famous Miss America than Vanessa Williams, who's been a triple threat with music, acting.
What you see is what you get. That is just so genuine, so beautiful, so loving. I've been fortunate to sub for her regular drummer. She's another one. Her bands would have been with her 20, 22 years or so. Okay. All good friends, all New York musicians. So a couple of times the drummer couldn't do it, and they called me up. Hey, can you? He had something else going on, and one of them was that orchestra thing. That actually was 2015, the last time I've done it. It was great. It was. She's that triple threat, like Eartha. She gets out there, sings, dances, acts. She's the truth.
I absolutely.
Oh yeah. She's the truth.
Any woman that's able to, and she's like very classy as well, like just glamorous and Diana Ross and a lot of the women even Chaka Khan. We didn't even talk about Chaka Khan.
And I know Chaka. I actually produced wrote and produced a song on Chaka.
Yeah.
The label shut down the album that my record was supposed to go on, and they put out the Epiphany record. So it was all these remakes, and they put 2 new songs on it. But there were about 20 producers out there. We were all cutting these tunes. Chaka was the executive producer, and things went weird. And actually, Benny Medina was the senior vice president at Warner at the time. So I was dealing directly with Benny, So there's this song sitting in the can that I wrote and produced with Chaka sitting, and then I would run across Benny Medina again because he ended up managing J-Lo, and I got hired to do J-Lo when her first record came out. We did the television stuff. We did Letterman. We did Oprah. So I was in the band.
The television stuff came from.
Yeah.
Leno.
Yeah. Some of that's on YouTube. You can find. Yeah. That was 99 as well. Yeah.
Well, we only have like 3 more minutes left because time goes really fast when you're having fun, right? I
love it.
I'm trying to make sure there's nothing else I wanted to make sure I asked you about. I'm just looking through because we ended up talking about so many different things you've done just because I was like, wait, I'd rather hear about that. Because we didn't even talk about Dangerously in Love because you worked on the recording of that with Beyonce and I don't want to be
right.
mad at
So,
me.
that was the duet, and that's on her record and Luther's record.
Okay.
So that came out on both records.
Okay.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah.
I watched one of her documentaries. Forgive me because I don't remember the name of it. But she's one of those where she's like, I don't eat, I don't drink, I don't anything while I'm in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like working with her? I guess since Luther was running the show, probably at that
point. So we were in the middle of a tour when we cut this record. We were sitting in New York, and Nat Adderley did the arranging, and we got the band, we got in the studio, we cut this thing. And we left. So we knew Luther was going to have her back. And we were like, hey, Luther, you going to let us come? He said, I'm not letting you animals anywhere near that woman. We were crushed. Lou, yeah, come on. He wouldn't let us come. So,
wow. How's that for loyalty, Luther? No.
So I didn't get to meet her.
Oh, okay. Well, you got a Grammy with her.
My name is forever in history, sitting there with her.
Yeah. I was shocked. I can't remember which musician told me that first, but I was shocked when they told me because you see all the movies where they're working together, the singer and the band.
Yeah, it happens. It happens sometimes, but you have a skilled, you have skilled producers. Nat and Luther. Forget it. It's all mapped out. You make a lot happen. you know, and then it's all done, and the artist shows up, you know, and it has this wonderful musical bed to lay their work on, you know, all worked out. Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure that everybody knows where they can find you and get more information about your school, since you do teach online. And that's another great point of technology. You can live anywhere now and get classes.
Yes.
By
Yes.
the great Ivan A. Hampden Jr., who's
Awesome.
worked with everyone. So if you want to go ahead and share that.
Hamptown Music Institute.
Okay.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Yep. Absolutely.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for being
Oh,
here.
thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah.
And I had a blast.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Oh, be careful. Oh, and happy belated Father's Day. I had to say that as well, since you worked
on thank you.
Fathers.
Yeah. Thank you.
I meant to say it then and just remember it.
It's all good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Well, have a good rest of your day and weekend, and thanks again for being my guest.
Oh, yeah. I had a great time. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. All right. Well, have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, that was so good. I'm so excited about everything he was telling me. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did, because I'm a fan of everyone he's worked with. So this was just like a dream come true to find out the whole process and how he got started. And make sure it's in the comments where you can reach out to him and catch up with him. And thanks again for watching. I'll be back Monday with Mr. Michael Stimley. He is the man. I was hoping Amazon had delivered my book today, because they said it was going to be delivered today, but it wasn't delivered yet anyway. And he's got this new book out, Wealth, Power, Respect, which is, he's giving you pretty much the blueprint how you can achieve all of those things as far as building wealth and having multiple streams of income, credit repair, all of that. But he's worked in the entertainment industry. Him and Teddy Riley own a few corporations together with music, film, entertainment, promotions, concerts. He does it all. And he's got this new book. Like I mentioned, he's getting ready to start back his book tour. So this is something you don't want to miss for Monday. If you're interested in working in the entertainment industry, it's still a business. So as much as you can learn about the business side, might as well get it from the top, because he's been in the industry for over 20 years. So he knows what he's talking about. And a lot of celebrities, musicians, actors, athletes, they work with him. He's their money man. He's the one that makes the decisions, the deals, and so on. So you'll learn a lot from him. He's an amazing guy, very sweet, very generous. Like, his goal is to make sure that he gives out the information that he's learned. So he's going to be Monday. And then Tuesday, I have Jackie's boy. He'll be in. He's a Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter. He's worked with some like Madonna, and he's now has his own album out. So you'll get to hear a little bit from him and his career. Then I get to go, because it'll be July 1st on Wednesday. I'll get to dabble back into the film industry with my good friend. She's going to be on Wednesday. I'm totally blanking on her name right now, because I just went down a whole, I can cheat. My good old book, because I'm like, wait, I was getting ready to call her. I'm bad with last names, but Joyce Gilliard, she's going to be on. She is not only a makeup artist, but she also has her own short film about safety on film, which was a really good film. It recently just won some awards. She's you've heard of her. I'll let her tell her story, because you're going to be, it's heart-wrenching, the things that she's gone through on set and different things that she's doing now to kind of help increase safety on set. And with COVID-19 going on, it's a really great time to hear from her. Then Thursday, don't wake me, because I'm dreaming. Christopher Williams from New Jack City will be here as well. He's a singer, actor, songwriter. I'll let him, we'll talk about that on air. And then Friday, another businessman in the entertainment industry. Well, he's an attorney and he does a lot of different things. JJ Poole will be on talking about his experience and also giving some business knowledge. So if you didn't get enough from Mr. Michael, JJ is going to help fill in some of the questions. So if you gotta get the book too. So there you go. That's next week. So have a great weekend. And of course, nice fun weather, I hope, for you guys this weekend. And I'll see you guys again Monday. Thanks for tuning in, the E-Fam. Please like, share, subscribe. Help me with my numbers. Share. Tell your friends about it. Don't keep me the best kept secret. Have a good night.